All right, well, thank you all for joining us this evening for another installment of the Lodge 2 interview series. I'm Ariel Gonzalez, and joining me tonight is Brother Otto Stephen Schneider Jr., who's serving also as our Junior Warden of Lodge 2, and he's going to be speaking to us about his experience in Freemasonry in general and also in Lodge 2 in particular. So thanks for joining us, Steve.
My pleasure.
So I guess I want to start off with a standard question that I normally ask all of our guests, which is, given the widespread opportunities for people to spend their time on different activities, what brought you to Freemasonry in general?
Well, I always had an interest in it because my father and my maternal grandfather were Freemasons, and I talked a little bit with my dad about it, but I didn't press him, thinking that it was all supposed to be secret, and I didn't realize at the time that very little of it is, and that I could have had more conversations with him about it. As I got older, and lost my father, I felt a need to connect with him in a little way that posthumously, but I had a friend who was a Freemason and asked him to sponsor me and get me into the lodge.
So when you learned about that your father was a Freemason, was that during the era when it was basically very, like, people didn't actively recruit? Like, did he not speak about it a lot, or like how did you know that he was a Freemason?
Right. So I knew because my dad wouldn't wear suits except for funerals, weddings, and lodge.
Oh,
so
okay.
if and there would be times too I would see his lodge notice, and I would. He had a ring. He had a lapel pin that I was curious of, and talking about a Tubal cane.
Okay.
And so we had some conversations, and I suppose if I thought my father wanted me to join, then I would have asked him to get me in if I understood that was the way it was done at the time. I would have, and it's a regret. But ultimately, I took an opportunity with a friend and asked him that I wanted to join, and for him to sponsor me.
So my understanding too is in previous generations, I think there was this old mantra that was like, you needed to be asked 3 separate occasions by someone to basically verify whether or not they were really interested in joining the fraternity. And so I know that for certain generations, like either lodges had difficulty recruiting members because recruitment was actually frowned upon. And so sometimes there were circumstances where, like, fathers or sons wouldn't even know that they had family members that were involved in the fraternity simply because they thought that they would be approached about it, but in reality, the practice was typically, I guess, to get asked on 3 separate occasions to join. And I think that that's something as a fraternity that we're trying to move away from, because there have been instances where there would be fortunately, your father was pretty transparent about it based on his attire and also the fact that he had the notice sent to the house and whatnot. But sometimes family members wouldn't even know that their relatives were Masons until a Masonic funeral.
Right.
And so, but we're very thankful that you found us. Was he a Pennsylvania Mason?
He was.
Or was he? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Member in Newtown.
Okay. Cool. And so, what brought you to Lodge 2?
Funny story. The guys I knew that were members of the fraternity were all members of Lodge Number 2, and the way they found Lodge Number 2 was they came for a tour of the building, and following the tour, their tour guide, they interacted, and they had expressed interest to him about joining, and so he sponsored them for Lodge Number 2, and that's how we found ourselves with Lodge Number 2, all because of a day trip to the temple.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. No, I mean, it's certainly the building is very appealing, and I think we get a lot of people also through sponsorships, through friends. Just remind me, who was the person who sponsored you? Was it Liam?
Liam Larkin, yes.
Liam Larkin. Okay, cool. Yeah, because he's also, you knew him through Front Street.
Well, right. I've known him for years from the nightclub industry, and then through the other scenes, and ultimately we worked together on building Front Street Cafe, and then I got further involved as time progressed. But
yeah, and a plug for Front Street Cafes. That's where we do our ritual rehearsals, right? So I mean, it's definitely a hallmark of how we used to do things in the fraternity back in the old days, where we would actually meet above taverns before we had this big, beautiful building. That was basically where lodge meetings used to be held, was on above a restaurant. So because you're junior warden, you've obviously expressed an interest not only in participating in the lodge, but also in being involved as an officer. I just was curious if you could speak to, I guess, how that journey has been in terms of not only being a rank and file member, but also getting more involved in the leadership aspect of the fraternity.
Yeah, so my leadership journey began by I was asked by the worshipful master at the time to be the junior deacon, and I was showing up pretty regularly. They felt as though that I had an interest in doing more for the lodge, so I accepted that position, and I ended up guiding someone because I was intimidated by the amount of memorization and the ritual work. And once I guided someone, and the ritual I had to learn for that process gave me confidence because I was able to successfully do that. And I knew it would take a lot of work, but it was something that I enjoyed the challenge, and learning more. It's improved my memory. So it's been a lot of fun. And then also I've enjoyed hosting the stuff at the cafe for ritual rehearsal and recent cigar dinner. So yeah, I've been really enjoying my participation.
Yeah, and I think also the fact that you've, I mean, aside from hosting the ritual rehearsals at the Front Street Cafe on Saturday mornings, certainly like the events that you've been involved in were, you know, were great in terms of participating not only in the philanthropy events, but the social events. And like you said, you hosted a cigar night over at the restaurant.
Right.
Was there anything in particular that this lodge has done that kind of drew your attention that maybe, I don't know, in other civic associations or other organizations that you're a part of that maybe this organization is a little bit different?
Well, certainly, Lodge Number 2 does a better job of outreach to the community, whether it be feeding families with Gift of Life House, or feeding the homeless, or we haven't been able to do it for a while, but Ronald McDonald House and some of the other activities. They've been enjoyable, and it's been something that I didn't have a path to do it before, and I've really enjoyed the opportunity to help and participate in that.
And then also, I guess, like, I think the other thing that we try to do too is also have social events where we kind of do day trips to other places. So obviously we're in the city of Philadelphia, and there's a lot of historic sites, but also we did that trip to all the way to Arlington National Cemetery, which was
Yeah,
a
that was
lot
great.
of which was also, I mean, I'd never been before. I don't know if you have, if you'd ever gone
Yeah, I have.
before, but certainly it was a very moving experience for certainly for me, and it sounded like for a lot of our
Yeah,
members as
it's a
well.
special place.
So, because you're a junior warden and you're obviously trying to advance through the different chairs, I guess another question that I have, and fortunately we don't have the worshipful master in the room, what would you like to see in this lodge that perhaps maybe you haven't seen yet, or that you'd like to spend more time on, that in your time in the East, how you would envision the lodge to be? Or would you continue just kind of with...
No, I think things are going rather well. I have enjoyed participating with Pete's vision for how we were doing things, and to be honest, I've been paying more attention to my learning the memory work to progress forward than I have of my actual policies that I want to implement.
Right, right. Yeah, no, it's not to put you on the spot. I'm just curious because I think that's also something that we try to decide as we become more involved in the fraternity, is trying to see, you know, make it adapt and evolve for future generations. And so that's one of the beauties of having that roster of personnel advancing through the different chairs, where every year you have people advance through the chairs from one role to another, and so eventually they reach the East and they have an opportunity to run the meetings and run the lodge and see, you know, I don't know in your professional life if you have an opportunity to, like, I guess, lead people, or if it's something like, I don't know, in your day job, do you have to worry about running an organization, or is this like a new experience for you in that respect?
I've had experience with it in the past. Generally speaking, or at least currently with my professional life, I've been trying to avoid having employees
Okay.
in a leadership role, but
Hmm.
I have been enjoying other aspects of dealing with leadership here, or I mean, I like to think of it more of a mentorship
Hmm.
than like a leadership,
Hmm.
because it doesn't really feel that way. I don't
Hmm.
really feel as though I have to manage anyone here, as opposed to help them progress through their Masonic career, or provide whatever it is that they're looking for in
Hmm.
the fraternity.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, mentorship's a big part too. I mean, we don't like to just recruit people and then kind of leave them to fend for themselves. We also like to kind of pair them up with people who express interest, but I think it is a little daunting. I mean, fortunately for you, you had someone who you knew personally outside of the lodge who brought you in.
Yeah.
But for some people who may join and they may not have any pre-existing connections, it might be daunting to join a group and then kind of be left alone. And so we try to encourage people, our senior members, by tenure to kind of encourage them
Yeah.
to participate in whatever speaks to them, either philanthropy or leadership, or if they want to do a social events. Um, so, I mean, that's great though that you kind of get this dichotomy of what you do in your personal life versus your professional life versus your lodge life. And um, as far as the activities that you enjoy here, I mean, you say that it's not necessarily like managing people. So would you say it's more of like it is, I mean, we do get stuff done here, but it's also a much more social and
Right.
relaxed environment. I mean, yes, we are in tuxedos and suits, but we are also, sociable
Yeah.
and friendly. And that's something that we kind of try to encourage.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, would you say that that's kind of like a unique quirk, I would say, of like the fraternity is like um, the stakes are relatively low in the sense of like we're all friends, we're all.
Yeah, it's a social organization. We're all here because we want to be here.
Hmm.
So I don't. I, I guess with leadership, I feel as though that it's not militaristic
Hmm.
or an employment type of
Structured.
situation. Structure, yes, but it's where we've been able to just guide with. I just leadership doesn't seem like the word for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Where helping people progress through their Masonic career, or because we have some things just to tasks to be accomplished, and I'm going to ask for cooperation from members, but
Hmm.
um, yeah, I guess it is still leadership. You're right.
It is. I think it's, but I think the fact that you're able to get people to deliberately volunteer their time to do
Yeah,
things that they're not getting paid to do, and they enjoy doing it is
yeah,
certainly an element of leadership. And I think
sure.
that's kind of one of the quirks of the fraternity is that
Yeah,
you don't realize it until you just kind of
yeah,
stand back and you're like, oh yeah, I mean, I kind of got people to do things and stuff, and I didn't actually have to pay them to
right.
do it. Um, but certainly, I think the other thing that we do appreciate you having is your hospitality and hosting us at Front Street. And I
Oh,
keep getting
my pleasure.
great reviews, not only for the food, but also the fellowship. And also, it's been championed by our district deputy. And he keeps, at the events that I've gone to, he, you know, advocates for it very strongly. So we certainly enjoy having you host us there.
My pleasure.
What would you say is like something you thought about Freemasonry, but it turned out to be something different than what you originally thought it was? Maybe when your father was going and you didn't have any
Yeah.
frame of reference as to what it was like?
No, it's reasonably consistent with what I anticipated. Through my conversations with my dad about, we did talk about that they have dinner and then they'll
Mm-hmm.
go through a meeting, and the meeting, has structure. They'd have presentations, and there would, occasionally be events outside of the lodge and so forth that he would participate in. But no, I believe there's, of course, people will occasionally ask me about the secrecy and
Mm-hmm.
world domination,
Mm-hmm.
and
Well,
I
which
just
which we can't talk about.
right. I just tell them that's not my department. But
Yes, exactly. That's a very yes. That is the standard. That is the standard response given. Yes. But the other thing, I guess, speaking to the fact, so I don't remember if it was this year or if it was last year when you received your Lewis Jewel, right? And you had
yes,
invited family members.
correct.
Can you just speak to that experience? Because I don't know all of the specifics, but do you want to just talk?
Yeah, so the Lewis Jewel being representing my father's name and then my maternal grandfather's name, and my mother is a past worthy matron of Eastern Star,
Mm-hmm.
so it was going to be an open ceremony, so they were able to join. And then I have an uncle who's been kind of the stand-in for my dad, and so I invited the both of them, and so he was the one who physically presented me with the Lewis tool, and which I'm very proud of, and was happy to have them participate with.
Yeah, and I think that's also something that we try to do also in the lodge too. And it's something that's been championed by Grand Lodge as well, is trying to expose to the public the work that we do. So we do try to do open installations, and try to do the presentation of jewels and awards to members of the public so that they can see, you know, within reason what it is that we do in our
Right.
meetings. So your uncle was a member
He
as
is a
well?
member.
He is a member.
Yeah,
Okay.
in Newtown.
Okay. At the same lodge, I guess, that your father
Yeah.
was? Okay. So they were both biological brothers, and or was it they were
No,
they were
no, not biological brothers, but they were Masonic brothers.
Masonic
And
brothers?
my dad's first lodge was in Hatboro, and then
Mm-hmm.
he had moved to Newtown, and then ultimately, when my uncle wanted to join, then
Okay.
they joined the lodge together. Or my father transferred in, and my dad got my uncle in.
Gotcha. I was going to ask also if they like independently knew each other through the law, like they just
Yeah.
happened to be brothers. Okay, so that makes sense. But yeah, that's certainly something that we try to emphasize as well, is that part of the reason the institution has lasted as long as it has is because that generation, one generation after another, kind of finds in Freemasonry what previous generations found valuable, and it's why we've been around for going on, at least Lodge 2 has been going on for close to or well over 260 years. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, I think that's a wrap. And thank you so
Excellent.
much for joining us, and
My
thank
pleasure.
you all for joining us as well. And we look forward to seeing you at our next Lodge 2 interview.
Thank you.